What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. And in this video, I want to go over all my thoughts on Spider-Man Brand New Day. I saw it in theaters, day it came out. First off, great movie. But there's some pros and cons, and I would love to talk about them, so let's dive into it. So first things first, like the big kicker, are the vibes of the whole movie, which are very different from usual, and the movie kind of gives more of a, like, darker, more serious tone compared to other Marvel and Spider-Man movies. Especially compared to the last Spider-Man movie. And disclaimer though, like the last Spider-Man movie, No Way Home, great movie, and it's not as good as that one by a long shot, but it's also really hard to be as good as that one because that one was amazing. So, little disclaimer, like if you're looking for a better experience, in my opinion, not as good. But of course, I didn't expect it to be. It's still a really great movie. Point is the vibes are very different, and I also feel like that a lot of times in Marvel / Spider-Man movies, the story will a lot of times revolve around the story. Like, because I feel like there's usually two approaches movies can take. One is the movie, doesn't, like, the movie revolves around a story, and it revolves around what's going on. But this movie, I feel like, went more of the approach of, where it revolves around the world and story, but from the main character's perspective. So it was very, Peter Parker focused, and it was very much like about him, which obviously is a Spider-Man movie, but like it felt more like this is what he's going through from his perspective, not trying to tell an overarching story while he's the main character, if you get what I'm saying. So I feel like that change really separated this movie from other movies, and it's because it's weird to get used to. Also, there is just a lot darker of a tone, and the story seems very contained. But obviously, this movie does raise questions of Avengers Doomsday, because, will Spider-Man be in Avengers Doomsday, and will other characters from this movie be in there? Don't know, but, it does raise the question, because it's a little weird, because it's like we've seen nothing about Tom Holland, being in Avengers Doomsday, which is like, But, anyway, again, vibes are very, such more of a darker tone, which really gives new light on the subject. Now, real quick, disclaimer, this video will contain heavy spoilers for the movie. If you have not seen it yet, and you would like to avoid spoilers, maybe wait to watch the video. But, moving on. So, as we knew from trailers, Hulk has a part in this movie. But, not how I would have seen it. So basically, when going into this movie, I was thinking, you know what, Hulk, they're really going to put a focus on Hulk. And from the little I know, I'm pretty sure, Hulk, whenever Spider-Man's going through this stuff in the comics, Hulk is like there to help him out. And the thing I realized is that, you see, Hulk remembers who Peter Parker was, but Banner does not. So, which is kind of confusing at times in the movie, but it does, because long story short, the whole Hulk fights Spider-Man situation, Hulk is like, gonna kill him, but then like Hulk's like, well, I remember you, started to calm down, it's gonna be okay. So, that's really interesting, but I'm not even a big fan of what they did with the character of Hulk, because we haven't seen too much of Hulk at all, really, since Endgame, and this is like one of the big times we get to see him, and yeah, he's some professor, but like, kinda still a little lame, And my point is, I just wish he was more focused on. And also, I feel like the trailers were misleading because of the whole fact that it's like, oh, he's going to be a major part of the story, when really he wasn't. Because, long story short, what happens is Hulk is like, or Banner, I guess, he gives, like, Peter information of how to, like, suppress his, mutating DNA. And then, like, that leads to, like, tech stuff he builds or whatever. But that was about it. And yes, there's a whole, like, fight scene, but that fight scene really didn't do anything. It's like, it feels like while making the movie, they're like, well, we can add Hulk, so we will. Which is a little, like, iffy, but I'm glad Hulk was there, but I feel like he wasn't used properly. Another character that, now this is a lot bigger of a spoiler, because we didn't know she was going to be in this movie. But Black Widow is in the movie, not Natasha, her sister. Of course, from like Thunderbolts and Black Widow, she's in this movie, and she doesn't really even play a big role. But like her role is like more like fun cameo. Hulk's problem is it's like, oh yeah, look at this, important character that's going to be part of the movie, and then he wasn't. This one's like, oh, just a little cameo for fun. So a few times she pops in, like twice. It's great. I just wanted to mention it because I was like, it's her. It's her, because, I love Thunderbolts, and of course I love the grand scheme of things in Marvel, so it's always fun. And because of the fact that she is in this movie, is, I feel like it increases the quality of the movie. I'm glad she's in it. Real quick, the part she's in is like, Peter just needs to go talk to her about, like, what's the deal. Maybe you might know something. A little bit of mind control and, like, what they used, with her in the Red Room. Yada, yada, yada. And then, she's talking to Peter later, and Ned and MJ in the back. It's great. Just glad she was in this movie. MJ and Ned. We gotta mention them and what's the situation, because obviously in the last Spider-Man movie, it's like, oh, she doesn't remember him. And something that I'm really glad they did with her in this movie is they're not together, and I don't think they will be. Which is, like, really sad and unfortunate, and I want them to be together, but they aren't. And it's like, wow, you wouldn't think they would do that. Everyone loves, Peter and MJ. They love that duo, but they're not going to be a thing, it looks like. Sort of. So in the movie, how it goes is, she ends up finding out that letter he wrote while he's trying to protect her, and she's like, that's great and all, and we can be friends, because even at the end of the movie, they're all hanging out. Ned, is like happy to see him and stuff, so it's like they are definitely a good friend group now, but like together with MJ, she's like, I don't remember you, and because of that, I don't want to be with you, which is kind of crazy to think about, because in the last movie, she was like, you better make sure I know, okay, I want to be with you, and you better, remind me whenever I forget. Well, okay, even if it wasn't how she wanted, she found out, and guess what? She wasn't into the whole thing, which I love, because it's like, oh, wow, because, like, you don't think they do it. You think, oh, everything's gonna work out. You think happy ending between them two, but it's not a happy ending. It is a happy ending, but you get my point. They're not together, and she does not want to be with him, which is just like, wow. Who would have thought? So, just saying, the whole MJ situation, crazy. And now we gotta talk about Ned, because, he doesn't really have much of a role in this movie. He's kind of, like, I feel like kind of weird. And it's like, he's not, like, to the point of, like, the Hulk situation, but, like, it's still just, like, it's kind of similar, where it's like, they're like, look, important character. Everything sets him up to be important character, but then he just isn't one, and then the movie acts like he's one, He really does not do much, but the one, like, main, like, pro about him is him and Peter get along, and, like, they hang out together, and it's really wholesome and sweet, especially at the end, so that is, like, the main yay out of that. But otherwise, Ned isn't really used for much. He's not really the guy in the chair still. Even though, he's still not that nerdiness to him. He's not the guy in the chair. So, that is my thoughts on MJ and Ned. So, an issue that I feel like this movie kind of has is the way it looks. Now, I'm not saying this movie, like, used a lot of AI. And I'm not saying that, and I don't want you to think that. I think that, it was like an AI movie. But, the looks of the movie look like AI. It looks like AI, but I don't think it's AI. Which I know might sound a little weird, but I guess my point is, I feel like the CGI in the movie is so good, where it almost looks fake. If you get what I'm saying? Like, it feels weird. Like, every time I look around at the movie, I keep thinking the lighting looks a little off. And things look, like, too realistic, so it doesn't look real. And I really hope my point is coming across like I wanted to. But it's like the buildings and the world, and it's like, and of course, like earlier I talked about the vibe. The vibe kind of probably made it worse, or it's just like made it look more like this, but it was like darker. Like it's just like generally darker, but then like the lighting, I guess my point is, the lighting is kind of weird in this movie, I feel like. To a noticeable extent, and, it just like goes into the fact of, like, it doesn't look like AI, but like the CGI looks too good, I guess. Which means it's bad. So, that's, like, I feel like a really big flaw of the movie. I don't know really if people agree with me, but, it's definitely worth note, I've left this part to the end because it is the most, like, interesting thing that we didn't know about the movie beforehand. So, the main protagonist, we really knew nothing about that character. The antagonist. We knew nothing about the antagonist. And I'm just saying that throughout this whole video, yes, there's been spoilers, but not just to a crazy degree. This is like the big, like, okay, this is the thing. Don't want spoilers, stop here. But the main antagonist, I just want to say my thoughts on her. It's a girl, and is the actor that we knew was in the movie, but we didn't know what she played. She has telekinetic powers, and she's awesome. She's just really cool, and she's just kind of good at the end of the movie, you know? Like, she's alive, and everything's kind of just, like, good. You know, like, no one really died. You know, so I'm just saying. My point is, I want her to be used more in the MCU. She's really cool. She has telekinetic powers, which are just cool. I think she's a great character, and she, of course, like, she did everything because of her sister, and that's nice. Okay, and also, when she is locked in the room, and then she realizes what VMAX means, if you've seen the movie, you know, it is, like, almost sad, because she's like, so this really is the last thing my sister saw before she died. You know, she's like, you guys killed her. And it was just like, it was almost so sad watching her realize that. Well, that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you loved it, and I hope you have a wonderful the rest of your day. And if you like this video, you will probably like my other content. So, if you made it this far, could you please subscribe and leave a like? Helps out more than you realize. That's going to wrap it up for today's video, so peace out, everyone.